What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to do with you guys. This is the QSP knives Puffin. I've reviewed another QSP knife. I believe it was the Piglet, at least that one. I might have reviewed a third one, I just can't remember. QSP, I cannot remember exactly what it stands for. Here's the box that it comes in. Kind of cool. I like the red in there. You know, I like the little pull tab. That's neat. That's a little bit different. This knife was provided for review by the pass-around group that I'm involved in, so by extension, QSP or the manufacturers themselves. I appreciate that. As usual, I will try not to let that affect my review. Should be pretty easy because I do not get to keep the knife. Let's go ahead and take a measurement of this guy. Overall length of the QSP Puffin. Is that a penguin? Is that what that is? A Puffin? 7 inches overall. From tip to scale, you're looking at, I don't know, just shy of 3 1/4, maybe right at 3 1/4 if you're going right here. Cutting edge up to the sharpening choil is exactly 3 inches. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 coming in substantially larger at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall, still substantially bigger. And last but not least, the smallest knife I have for comparison, the Spyderco Para 3. Para 3 coming in at 7 1/4. So you can see there, these two are much closer in size. And for it being a 7-inch blade, it honestly doesn't feel like that small of a knife. And I think it's the room on the handle. We'll talk about that. It's got a really appealing overall shape, absolutely. Let me give you guys an example of the action. It's very smooth. It's nearly fall shut smooth. Very, very, very smooth. As you can see here, I'm having a little bit of trouble with deployment given the position of this area right here. It is not possible for me to deploy it this way. The only way that I can deploy it is with a very, very well positioned middle finger flick. Or simply using 2 fingers and opening it like this. You may have better luck with that. My experience with it is it's a little bit difficult. The action though, I mean, in terms of the quality of the action, extremely smooth, extremely smooth. I was very impressed with, this is clearly from their premium line given the materials, which we'll talk about. The Piglet was from their budget line. They do a premium and budget line. So far, very impressed at least with the overall quality and attention to details. Like the pivot and smoothness of the pivot in this knife, absolutely. Let me go ahead and give you guys a measurement on the blade. As you guys know, these calipers are not super accurate, so you might want to look this up for yourself, but we'll measure it anyway. 120 thousandths on the first measurement. Let's go again. 120 thousandths. Okay, let's put it up against the the Hogue Ritter. Yeah, it looks to be the case. Hogue Ritter's about 125 thousandths, so you're probably looking at 120 thousandths on the blade spine. Let's go ahead and weigh it. Weight on this guy coming in at 3.07 ounces. Not bad at all. 3.03 ounces. So it's just over a 3-ounce knife. A lot of people like to think an ounce an inch on the blade. People who think like that are going to be happy with this. Even if that was not the case, this is a fantastic carry profile and size of knife. I don't think anybody would really have a problem with this. So let's talk about the anatomy of this blade. What we have here are some beautiful, look at those. You know when I talk about the rainbow effect that you can see on steel sometimes on grind lines? There it is right there, that prismatic effect that you can see on high quality grind lines. Love that. Really, really nice. That's precision machining. You don't always get that effect on a blade. That's beautiful. The QSP logo is a little bit bizarre to me. It's fire coming off of QSP, and then you have the little, it's not the trademark thing, but whatever that is. It's in a weird place given where they put this. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. On the other side here, you can see it's S35VN. We have a drop point blade with a flat that runs about 80%, 85% the length. It does carry a nice amount of thickness down to the tip. Everything is ground symmetrically, beautifully, no issues there. Sorry about those fingerprints showing up on the blade. Let me clean that off real quick. No issues with the edge, no symmetry problems, no wonkiness in the final cutting edge. a very, very beautiful, very handsome looking blade. I really like that a lot. You do have this slot here that is obviously meant as the primary deployment method, and all the edges have been nicely chamfered on the inside, so it's very comfortable. There are no sharp edges on the blade whatsoever. A really, really nice blade. Moving down to the handle, we have a bead blasted titanium, well, it looks bead blasted, slightly tumbled bead blasted titanium frame, and I really love how they did this inlay. This is really, really nice. So the frame is flat, but the inlay, which has been set perfectly into the handle, and is carbon fiber, by the way, is actually contoured. That adds for a nice physical feeling and a nice visual appearance. This is beautiful. It's widely shadow boxed by the titanium frame. Really, really classy touch. Very nice QSP. Actually, to any other makers who might be watching this, I doubt many will, but I like that. That's a cool way to do an inlay. I don't think QSP is the first one to do it, but I'm just saying, on a nice gentlemanly tactical folder like this, yeah, it looks really, really nice. I also like how they did this decorative front side pivot. Is the triangle indicative of QSP, or is it indicative of a particular maker? I don't know. It looks really nice. The adjustment side's on the other side. It's nice and flat, and it's a simple Torx head adjustment pivot. Really, really nice. Moving down here to the handle scales, unfortunately, once again, what we have are T6 screws. That sucks. Let's get rid of those. Those suck. You can see here there's a slot milled into the carbon fiber and frame to accept the pocket clip on the other side. It's nice and set in. If you're going to use one screw on a pocket clip, that's the way to do it so that there's no play in it. So this is a right and left-handed carry knife, though it is still primarily a right-handed person's knife given that it's a right-handed frame lock. I'm not aware of a left-handed or a true left-handed version of this, but they're thinking about you lefties, so that's nice. We do have a nice large lanyard hole that's in a good spot. A perfect and absolutely seamless and flush backspacer. I cannot feel the seams on this. It's perfect. I always appreciate a little bit of a gear pattern, but given that this is more of a gentlemanly folder, I think they did the right thing and just made it, a little seam there. I think some people might prefer a little bit of color, maybe ones with bronze or blue. I don't know if they offer that, but if they don't, that's something that I would suggest. Not a big deal if they don't. The pocket clip it's fine. It's a simple like popsicle stick style clip. And I can get it in and out of my pants, but it fights my pants a little bit, and here's why. Because they like carved a chunk out of that. I wonder if I've got a knife that's got a clip that's designed in a better way. I'll use the Lion Steel TRE. See how it's just sort of rounded and angles up towards the tip of the clip? This one's got like this chunk cut out of it, and it sort of curves that way. That fights your pants going in and out, and it's surprisingly kind of obnoxious. I mean, I can get it in there, it's not that big of a deal, but every single time I push it into my pants pocket and pull it back out, it's a problem. That should not be curved this way. It should be curved this way so that rounded part interacts with your pocket in a way that's smooth in and out. On the back side, it's nice. It's the angle that it should be. I'm not sure why they did that, but they did, so whatever. Moving on here, we have a steel lock bar insert that does double as the over travel stop. We do have, it looks like engagement's about 50%, which is fine. It is absolutely perfectly centered, and there is no blade play up, down, left, or right. So my complaints so far are basically T6 sucks, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. The pocket clip is odd. It fights your pants a little bit, but again, not necessarily a deal breaker. Let's talk about ergonomics. There's no jimping up top, which is fine given the style of knife. Again, kind of gentleman's tactical. Very, very smooth. But in terms of actual my ergonomic comfort, yeah, it feels pretty good. And despite it being a 7-inch knife, I can honestly get my hands all the way around it. Back here, it's about 3 finger. Up here, I can choke up a little bit in this area right here. Whenever they do this flat, it always makes me wish it was a choil, but it's not, no big deal. All the way around, this is a great knife. I have one huge complaint with it. This is not accessible from this side or from this side. I have to position my finger exactly right in this little tiny amount of space, and then really somebody who's not used to doing reverse flicks is just plain not going to figure that out. They're just not going to, because they're fighting also the fact that this is a small knife, having to keep fingers off the frame lock, having to turn it in a way where they get their finger right underneath there. And even there, I'm failing a couple of times, 3 times in a row. Finally, I got it. Listen, at that point, whatever it was you were trying to cut is more likely to have cut itself. Or the guy down the street, you know, who lives like 3 blocks away and he's running, don't worry, I got a pocket knife. He's going to make it to you and make that cut for you before you actually get it out. I'm being needlessly sarcastic there, but I mean, that's a really important factor for this knife. What honestly needs to happen is more material needs to be pulled out of here so that this is more accessible from the backside. And honestly, more material needs to be pulled out of here, which is going to change the overall shape of the knife, and it's going to take away from the beautiful handle design that they have. But it's not accessible. People like to flick their knives out. People don't like to take a knife that's running on bearings and open it with 2 hands. No, they want to flick it out. So, I mean, this isn't like a gravity knife either. I'm not missing anything. There's just... That's the deployment method you're supposed to use to open it, and it's got all of the other factors, you know, of like a fidgety knife. You know, it's got the really nice look and the nice feel, the nice weight. It's got the bearings, everything's smooth, and then it's like a slap in the face because you can't get in there and get your finger behind there. The truth is, you know what? I'm actually going to have to look. I forgot to look up the price of this knife. For the review, and I'm pretty sure I know about what it is, but the truth is you know, if you can get past the fact that this knife has a nice look to it, and you know, has like the nice quality materials, but does not have the action that everybody wants, or the deployments, the ease of deployment, that it doesn't have that, you know, then maybe you're going to be okay with this knife. But now that I'm using my iPad and trying to buy this, I can see here on White Mountain Knives, they're asking $138 for this knife. I'll tell you what, if this knife had better access to that slot there for opening at $138, I would have been shouting this knife at the top of every roof, at the top of every mountain. $138 is great. The price is almost to a point where I can be like, you know what, the deployment sucks, but go ahead and buy it. But truthfully, I think deployment is one of, if not the most important factors of a knife. I mean, when it comes down to it, why are you carrying it, right? You're carrying it because you think you might run into a situation where you need to use it. There's nothing more frustrating than needing to use your pocket knife and having to fumble around with getting it to deploy. I think QSP is absolutely capable of building an incredible pocket knife. In fact, all of the other elements are here. The handle just needs to be shaped different so that you have better access to the blade. So, great knife, really cool design. Unfortunately, it's just not something that I can completely recommend. Though, don't let that dissuade you from checking out QSP knives, because honestly, the Piglet and some of their other designs that I've seen, they look pretty solid. So, check them out. Don't let this turn you off to them. It's just not something that I can fully recommend. This was a pretty quick review, guys. That's pretty much all that I can say about this knife. If you enjoyed this video, or at least found it entertaining or informative, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. Jeez. Right here. If you'd like to check those out, please do. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.